$1,000 for the whole works. Then we had to have an electrician come out and wire the pump in, that's another $600. Now we find out one of our electric panels, we've got to improve that, and that's going to be another $600. So you can see why I'm not too eager to waste money on a sewer system. Because I got a perfectly good drain system. Oh, another thing, about $1,500 to put the lawn back into shape.
One second, Mr. Truitt wants to make a comment.
I'd just like to make a comment in reference to the last speaker. The requirements that you have to follow are actually from the state. I think statute 64, I forget exactly where in there, it talks about separation from the water table and with the repair versus replacement and things like that. So pre-83 systems are 12 inches. Pre-78 or 76 or 6 inches. So you were probably in that area where they made you go to 12 because a repair usually only takes you to 12. But if you had to replace, you may have had to go to a mound system, then you end up with a dosing pump. And that is...
We didn't go to a mound
system,
we moved it up towards
good.
the house.
Okay, well that's good. That's good. But it is a, it's a state health department. I just wanted to try to fill people in with the rest of the information. Thank you.
But it's a pretty good cost.
Absolutely it is.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I'm going to hear from Commissioner Doherty before.
And just to build on what Commissioner Truax just said, it's actually Chapter 64E-6, the Florida Administrative Code. And I would encourage everyone, it's as of effective date was April 28, 2010. I would strongly encourage, you go online and get it under the Florida Statutes section. It's easy to read, it will tell you the standards that are required now. After all these years of research, science, and engineering, they tell you now in that code what those all those different parameters are. And in the department, I believe that came out was they call it the Charlotte County Health Department. It's actually a state agency. It's nothing to do with the Florida County Commission. Just so you know. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Mark Gibson, and I was just wondering, the gentleman down there started the meeting off last time. He was just wanted to see a show of hands of how many people did want the sewers. Can you raise your hand if you do want the sewer to go through? And then how many people don't want it to go through? And this commissioner is kind of trying to figure out the best way to make his decision. What about you other three? Are you kind of undecided, or? I mean, we've seen a lot of the facts that come up on the screen. I mean, it goes to the reason, if you put a little bit of sewer here and you just kind of spread it out through the county, it's going to, you know, the ground's going to handle it better. You try to put it through all through the same pipes, which get broken underground. You got the lift stations and that. Things are going to go wrong, pumps are going to get plugged up, and it's going to be overflowing, and the county can't keep up with what they got. And that one lake, I don't know the name of it, it's surrounded by sewers, and it's more polluted than any other thing. And the infiltration is coming from sewers, not septic tanks. If you concentrate all them sewers and you get a leak, who knows how big it is, you know? And my hat's off to you gentlemen. I know you're under a lot of pressure. To be able to see all this evidence and say you're undecided on what way to choose, you're under a lot of pressure, and the pressure comes from the people that are above you in office, and there is a lot of money at stake. I mean, we live in America, we can see what happens. I mean, our government is messed up. It's going to take a man to make the right decision, not because you're under pressure.
Mr. Gibson, before our next speaker, I want to answer your question. No, I haven't decided, okay? I've seen all the evidence that Mr. Andrzejczyk has shown here and at meetings he's come to my office, and I base my decisions on science, and I have yet to decide because there's still additional data that we haven't seen yet, but I'm not making a decision yet because there are a lot of things that are being brought up at these meetings and other forums that question some of the things that we initially were told. So I think the idea is people are here to explain their opinions, to tell us the things that they know, so we get educated, so that we have better questions to ask when we talk to staff and we look into these items. This is my opinion. I can't speak for the other commissioners, but I can tell you at our board meetings, everybody is still getting data. So I just want to let you know.
And I would echo that.
Okay, well, that's good, but, you know, when you do your analysis, if you would do us a favor, is put it on paper like these gentlemen did. I mean, they got it pretty plain to see what's going on. You know, they're planting the new oysters and everything in the harbor, whatever it is they're putting in there, scallops. It's clean enough for that. You know, I mean, with the evidence that we have at hand, I don't see why. And the people, what do they want? What can they afford? You know, you see by the raise of hands. And power, I mean, you guys are under pressure. I can see it. You know, I mean, I can see it real clearly. Somebody wants this to go through regardless of what people say. And when you do make the decision, put it on paper. You know, this is the reason why we're doing it, because all these other tests these guys were showing, they wasn't accurate. This is really what's accurate, and here's the numbers, and this is why we're forcing you to do this.
And I can promise, I appreciate your comments, and I can promise you that my decision is not going to be arbitrary. There will be data, one way or the other. We're going to have plenty of things to show at the meetings, whether it corroborates everything we've seen so far, or if there's new data, whatever it is. But it's going to be the truth, because I'm not going to vote on a whimsy. Okay, that's my opinion. I want to see exactly what's going on. Now, there's a lot of data points that are on the screen here that are further down in the harbor that are not up in the area closer to where we're talking. But I want to hear from the Charlotte Harbor National Estuary people. I want to hear from the people that are involved with the science, okay? Those are the ones that don't really have a dog in this hunt, all right? And so I want to hear what they have to say, because those are the ones that are really the stewards of the waterways.
Have you asked them?
We're getting that data now. They're going to be coming to some of our meetings. I have not asked them. I don't have their opinions yet.
Well, as a favor, can you find that out before the next meeting and let us know what they say?
Yes, I can do that. I'll get your information.
I think to just let you all know that we're in the process right now. The county administrator's got a lot of information that he's about to present to us early next month, I believe. Very important workshop, and we plan on getting not only scientific data, but engineering data and so forth that will be, I think, very helpful for us as we go through the process of comparing what we've been given from you folks and from others. As the chairman said, I have not made my mind up yet. I have gone through, part of the reason I mentioned 64E6 was that I'm going through it right now, all the standards, refreshing. It's been many, many years since I designed and permitted a septic system in Charlotte County. So I'm going back through the current rules. I actually researched the soils information for that part of Charlotte County, looking at the suitability of putting septic systems in there originally. I'm actually going back to, as far as I can, to determine soils and all of that aspect from an engineering standpoint, to see whether or not I would even have designed a septic system in that neighborhood. And what I'm seeing right now is it was very problematic to even decide to put septic systems in there back in the 50s and 60s, based on the understanding we have of those systems today. That doesn't mean they don't work, folks. I'm just saying, under today's standard, probably would have a problem doing it today if it was coming in for development. So I'm digging right down to understand all of the engineering components that go into the design of the septic system in your neighborhood, to understand why they were allowed, and try to compare all of that to today's current standards and what we're going to hear in July from the administration and other experts that are coming in to talk to us. So please, you've got to believe it. That's the truth. That's what we're doing.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yes, sir.
My name is David McGill. Members of this council, this is a prepared speech I wrote. I want to thank you for this opportunity and open forum to discuss the potential and future possibility of the sewer. I've lived in Charlotte County since 1972, and when the gentleman did far end, he was talking about the possibility, I don't know your name, sir.
Commissioner Gordy. Commissioner Gordy.
Commissioner Gordy, okay. I was paid, or I was told to pay to get my sewer, my septic tank pumped out. I had to pay a permit. It all applied. I live off of Collingswood and between Collingswood and Cedarwood. And I got one of these notices. And I guess my question to you, and please, no disrespect to you all, because I know the county commissioners had done stuff, but I was around when the Sid Kitson, okay, with the Murdoch Village happened, okay? Well, again, please, okay, this is not funny. It's serious. It's going to reach into your pockets, as does Murdoch Village reach into everybody's pocket right now, okay? I particularly don't want another boondoggle where we elect you all to do this stuff. We don't want another boondoggle. We don't want another Sid Kitson, Murdoch Village, and then he gets approved, he pulls out, now he's off of Highway 31 doing stuff. We don't need another white elephant in Charlotte County. What we need is proactive, and you guys just said, you don't have all the information. Then why send these out? Why do this without all the scientific information in hand prior to this? Why bring all these folks in here? Anybody wants to respond?
Yeah.
Well, I think first off, the process started last year, and I think at the moment, the last item that we decided on was not to push this forward. It's already going forward for the moment, but we can put the brakes on it, whether it's in July or in September. But the last thing that we did was understand that there are disadvantaged people. And we wanted to make sure that those people had an ability to pay for this if they couldn't, where the county would help them. And there are people that spent a lot of money putting their systems in within the last 10 years, and we'd like to try to do something to help them out as well. But I understand what you're saying, and what it really has to do with is a budgetary process. We all know how to pull the brake, and we're ready to do that if need be. So we have until the last public hearing, which you all will be very aware of, and we're going to go through this process again, you know, whether it ends it or it goes forward. But we're going to hear from you tonight. We're going to hear from you again. I mean, the whole point is we're still waiting. We're still getting data. Okay, and so that's the only reason why it's proceeding forward is there wouldn't be a process if we didn't do it.
Well, again, you said it's going forward, regardless of whatever happens. Bureaucracies happen, okay? There are things, there are lobbyists, there are things that will go on, regardless of whether these folks want it or not. Okay, all these folks, again, as Mr. Gibson said, who wants a sewer? Who doesn't want the sewer? Who wants septic? Okay, see, these are the folks that vote you all into office, okay? And you all have to remember that.
Right.
But please let me finish, sir. Remember what happened in Cape Coral?
Yep.
Remember when they put the utilities down there in Cape Coral? They charged folks $10,000 to $15,000 a lot. Have you all checked Cape Coral, how many vacant and abandoned properties there are now because they hooked up the utility properties on? Y'all, folks, do your research. Northeastern Cape Coral. That was a $16 million facility. And right now, there are a bunch of abandoned homes there because people cannot afford this.
Well, the seniors would go back to work again.
Say again?
The seniors would go back to work again. We came here to retire, but we'll go back to work.
But
We want to keep order, guys. You have 1 minute left. 1 minute.
I guess my thing is, look, I respectfully ask, okay, that this community do their due diligence prior to, again, use Cape Coral, folks, as your litmus test.
Yep.
That's all I'm asking, because we, again, I'm only 50 years old, I've lived here since 1972, and I cannot afford this right now. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time.
Thank you, sir, very much.
David, I assure you, part of the reason we're here is because we are doing our due diligence. We're trying to deal with facts. We're not trying to deal with distortions of fact. We're trying not to deal with rumor. Your voice will not go unheard. However, Mr. McGill raised a piece of paper that most of you got. And I'll stay a few minutes after the meeting if you like, but I will tell you this. A good part of the information on this sheet, unfortunately, is not true. It's not 100%. But it was good to an effect because we got 100+ people here tonight. We're trying to deal with the facts. We're trying to deal with the information. And certainly to the best of my knowledge, and I'll say this for all 5 of us, I absolutely believe we're trying to do what we believe is best for you. I'm adding the commissioner, not him, man. And you know that we're trying to do what we believe is the best for the county. And I will tell you, when it comes time to make a decision, unless I'm absolutely 100% convinced it's the thing to do, I'm not going to vote for it. But I again will share with you, all the information on this sheet is not factual. A lot of it was designed to get you out here, and that's great because it worked.
Examples, please.
I will meet with you after the meeting, sir.
Tell the group. What's not true?
Okay.
What's not true on it? Tell the group.
Okay, on here it says, your tent, and again, this is just all I'm reacting to is the information we've been provided with, and then the information that someone put on this flyer. There's a big gap.
How can you say it's not true?
Please, sir, we need order, okay?
He's contradicting
No,
himself.
please, sir, we need order. You're not recognized.
I'm going to address you, sir. We have been given information, and the information that we've been given, that we're looking at, is not the same information on this. Let me finish, please. I'll be courteous to you. Give me the same, please. And let me just follow through on it. And you asked me, so I'm going to outline a couple of items.
Thank you.
The first item, it says, help us stop these massive tax increases. The first was your $10,000 to $12,000 sewer connection. Technically, the numbers we've been given are just below 10,000. I've never seen. Now, if you want to hear the facts, I'll share them with you. If you want to believe it. Let me repeat what I just said again.
If you want to.
We're talking about the only figure we've been given was slightly under 10,000. I've never seen $12,000 before.
What if you own 2 lots? That makes us feel so much better. Really?
I've also, no, I'm not at all, sir. I'm going to add another fact that I'm going to add another little bit of misinformation which we've been given. There is a debt. Charlotte County Utilities does have a debt. Over $100 million of that debt came from the purchase of the system. We spoke to the bonding officer and what we've been doing with the debt, and I'll share with you the debt that we have today. We were given the information that with no addition at all to the system will be gone in 2022 is the figure that we were given. So the thought that this is, quote, a bailout for something else is just absolutely not true. Now, I can go on and deal with others, and the gentleman in the back, I'd be happy to go over and share the facts. We're trying to deal with the facts in this situation. One fact is clear. There's 100+ people here that don't want that, and we see that. So thank you for coming and voicing your opinion. But we're trying to deal with the facts here. And those are the decisions, the facts and the science, that are going to determine our vote. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Truitt.
Just a point of information to the last speaker, it was not Kitchen and Partners that pulled out. So I just wanted to make that clear. It was a different development company that had been awarded and then pulled out. So just for clarity, that's all. Thank you.
Sir, you have the floor.
Hi, my name is Gary Bartoloni. I'm a recent resident. I have a degree in biology and botany. And the general concept of concentrating pollutants into large pipes and pumping them into a facility is counterproductive to what's going on right now. You know, we're all talking about greening. You know, we're talking about how do we spread the load the most. Well, all the plants we have in our gardens are using these nitrogen wastes and turning them into plant material, okay, which is dissipating the load to the greatest extent. By concentrating it, you're creating a havoc. You should leave it alone. You should encourage people to plant trees instead of concentrating it where eventually there will be an accident. And when that accident occurs, great swaths of waterways and land will be polluted. The other thing is a very general statement. You're elected to represent us. Well, obviously, we don't want this. Where's the question?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Brian Williams. About regards to the Murdoch Village, I want to know who's going to be paying for all that hookups. Is the county going to be paying for all those? If it's just under $10,000, you have 800 and some acres. Who's going to pay for all that? Are you going to put it out on all of us?
Yeah.
That's my only question. Thank you.
Are there no other speakers? Are there no other speakers? Okay.
My name is Petra Caban. My name is Petra Caban. Caban. I've been living here over 17 years. The majority of the population here in Charlotte are senior citizens. I take care of a parent who's on a fixed income, can't afford to be on his own. I am a working single household. I have a son who's unemployed because he was laid off several times. There's not enough jobs here for the young people here. My own employer is cutting back on hours, such as Walmart and other businesses, because they can't afford it, because of the economy. Now, I say, we're responsible citizens, we take care of our septics. It's proven that it's not the septics, maybe, maybe not. But the consideration has to be how costly this is to your citizens here. Okay, we have people in poverty here as well, in addition to the population in Charlotte. We have young children graduating from high schools, can't find jobs. Eventually, you're going to see us people working for our citizens, whether in hospitals, homes, in any kind of services. We can't afford to live here anymore. Who's going to take care of them? Who's going to provide the services for our community? So you have to consider that economically, it's terrible for all of us. So consider that and do the best thing you could, because you're, like everyone knows, you're representing us. And we depend and rely on your best decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Excuse me. Oh,
Good.
I'll be brief.
Okay.
At the last meeting, there was something that was not brought up, but it was brought up.
Your name, sir?
I'm sorry, Rich Thompson, I live on Skylark Lane. Something that was not brought up at the last meeting, but was brought up at the following commission meeting, was Pirate Harbor. One of the commissioners said, I think the only thing instance I can remember where things didn't quite go as planned was Pirate Harbor. I had the occasion to speak to someone who lives there and was there when that sewer system was going in. And he told me that he thought it was a good idea at first. They were going to hook into the Turn Bay pipe, which turned out to not work out too well. But the original cost, he said, was around $3,000 to $4,000. And he was willing to go along with that. The young man had a family, children, but it turned out to be between, I think, either 10 and 12 or 12 and 14,000. And he said that the thing was that most of the people who lived in Pirate Harbor could afford it. There were only 3 people that did not go along with that, and it was simply because they couldn't afford it. I don't know what the consequences were for them not going along with it, whether there was any liens put on them or anything like that, but it's just a question of, people just don't have it. Maybe they'd be in favor of it, but they don't have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Barbara Jackledge, and I live on Lake Worth. I have a very nice little one-family house, which I made a good deal on some 10 years ago. What I'm very upset about, and we seem to have gotten away from that in the course of conversation here tonight, is the lady, excuse me, who mentioned that she did the septic, you know, we had to get a permit and then have the septic cleaned out, which was roughly about 5 years ago. So that's coming up again soon, and I know I'm going to be hearing before the end of the year or next spring to have mine done again. I have no problem in doing that. What bothers me is when I find out that there are other people in the area who never did it. Do you know how much that makes me want to abide by the law when that notice comes in my mail? Because I'm going to be there. You want me to get a permit for $100, get the septic cleaned out, let's say for $300, and meanwhile, John and Jim over 3 blocks over, they're not going to spend a penny because they're not going to comply. I'd like to know how many more things we have going on in the county where people aren't complying, aren't paying their debt. When I bought my house and I had to do repairs, I had to pull permits, I abided, okay? I'm originally from New York, I'm now a Floridian, happy to be one, and very glad that I made the move. But I don't like feeling that I'm going to be chased down if I don't comply, but somebody else didn't.
That's right.
Can you guys find out how many people didn't comply 5 years ago? Because this really ruffles my feathers. And I'm sure it's true of everyone here who laid out the money. It was several $100s between the permit and getting it cleaned out. I did it. My next door neighbor, who's from Canada, who's only here part of the year, he did it. What about all the ones who didn't? That's not fair to those of us who paid. And if you want us to pay this time and not saying, hey, put it in the garbage. You don't have to comply. Yes, we do. And we should all be complying. I have no problem doing it. So do all these people. But don't tell us that there's 100 people out there who didn't. Because 100 times $400 or $500 is a lot of money. And the county is losing a good portion of that. We talk about the debt they have. Well, how many more things do we have hanging out there that people haven't complied with? What are we doing? Just chasing down the people who we can scare into complying?
Yep.
I remember the notice. I don't remember it word for word, but you know, you have to do it by a certain date. But here 5 years later, we have people who still haven't done it. Something's wrong, guys. Somebody's not watching what's going on. And as far as the sewers are concerned, I'm originally from New York, so I'm no stranger to sewers, okay? But what's going to happen here? You heard this man talk about the septic and about the level of his property and everything. Take a look at Port Charlotte. Just Port Charlotte. How many houses are on different levels? Are we going to have a problem there? I remember the last meeting I went to a couple of years ago, they talked about, I'm a corner house, that something was going to be at the corner. And if that overflowed or whatever, it could back up, and I could wind up with it in my bathtub. I have a 2-bathroom house. I do not want that in my bathtub, okay? So please, you know, and as far as the septics are concerned, everyone has a swale. I'm sure you guys know what that is, you know, where the water runs down. I can't begin to tell you how many houses I've passed, and you can't even see that swale. So the water is not flowing properly. Okay, a couple of years ago, like I said, I'm on the corner, I had such a lake